that same CEO I managed earlier, he's mentioned and said, your stupid little idea got me into 42,000 stores across the US and Canada. That to me, at the end of the day, is how PR and communications works. Is that if I don't do something that's going to help your cash registers ring and your phones ring, I failed.
Michael Shmarak, thanks for being with us today.
Pleasure to be with you today.
So I want to do a little something silly here.
I'm all for it.
To get us going here. Just a get to know Michael segment. You're going to go away for a very long time. You can only bring 3 things with you. What are the 3 things you're going to bring? Gotta haves. Top 3.
Things or people?
It's up to you. You decide.
Just my wife and kids, but they're people. Everything else is a bonus.
What's the 4th thing you'd bring?
Oh, the iPhone for sure.
The iPhone?
Of course, the iPhone.
Who are you going to call?
I don't care. There's games on it. If there's no Wi-Fi, I don't know if it's going to be there.
What's your game that you're going to be mostly playing? You only get to pick one game, by the way.
Oh, Words with Friends.
Words with Friends. Classic.
Old school.
So fun. Yeah. Do you guys play games on your phone?
No, but I love that was your answer because most people try to fall away from technology and material things, but you were like, I'm gonna bring my phone. I really like that you said that.
At the end of the day, this gray-haired guy lives on his phone, so it's okay.
I know we're sitting here and it's 2026. You've had some really cool projects in your past, and one of the things that we talked about I thought would be really fun to sort of unpack is your work with the Smith brothers.
I could talk about that all day.
Yeah, and I guess it'd be cool too to talk about there's probably certain things you did that you couldn't do now. This was a few years ago, but also at the same time, what are some of the fundamentals that kind of stayed in place that you work when it comes to, because we're talking about revitalizing a sick brand, because
great way of cough and cold talking about
cough and cold. Yeah, exactly.
Good humor.
So we're talking about revitalizing a sick brand, but there's some fundamentals that are going to apply when it comes to building brand, building trust, right? But I guess let's just start with first introduce me to the Smith brothers. What is it for people who don't know what it is?
So for those of you who are watching or viewing, go on YouTube or Google and type in Smith Brothers Poughkeepsie, New York.
Okay.
When you do that, you're going to see
Poughkeepsie. Yes.
You nailed it?
Mouse.
Poughkeepsie Mouse.
That would be a good introduction. So Smith Brothers was a brand that came out of Poughkeepsie, New York.
Okay.
If you go through history, people might believe that they invented the first cough drop.
What year was this?
I want to say 1789. If someone wants to go on YouTube and Google it and look at the trademark, I believe that's the year that shows on there.
It's an old cough drop.
Hopefully they got it cleaned up by then.
Yeah, they might have changed a few things in the formula. Maybe not.
But what was interesting about that, speaking of formula, they would go on a horse-drawn carriage and go to different apothecaries with this kind of idea of how to help soothe the cough.
Okay.
Fast forward a couple hundred years, they were a brand that was synonymous with candy of all things. So if we asked your parents or grandparents about the Smith Brothers cough drops, they might find them in a desk drawer or a coffee table because as kids, people thought they were candy.
Okay.
But they didn't realize it actually had a medicinal effect.
It was so good it tastes like candy? They were onto something.
So fast forward from around 1950 or 60 or 70 to about the 90s, and the brand went bye-bye. It went in advertising and branding wasteland. The brand just went away. It was dominated by a category like Halls or Ludens or pick a brand that you might know.
Vicks.
Yep. But in around 2011, a venture capital firm thought that they'd want to take that brand because it was a nostalgic brand and people knew it and they knew that heritage would sell. They wanted to bring that brand back, and they hired a CEO from the venture capital community who just happened to go to graduate school with a guy named Richard Edelman, who, for those in Chicago or other cities may know, is a very large public relations firm globally. He's done okay for himself.
He's done okay. There's like a building with people in it, right? Yeah.
And when the CEO went to Richard to say he was bringing back this brand, he said the only way that you're going to get any kind of PR coverage or any visibility is by getting retail visibility. So you got to get into the stores first. And so he spent all this time and money working with then what was mommy bloggers, who were then the influencers back then.
Okay. Mommy bloggers controlled the world, actually, not just the cough drop world, but
Back in, they say, around 2010, 11, they were what influencers and creators are today.
they built the dark web.
They're moms.
They can do anything. Yeah.
So I met up with this CEO, and we got introduced by a mutual consultant, and he told me his challenge. And as I started to get to know the company, I went to him and I said to him, with all due respect to Richard Edelman, I think he's wrong. And here's why.
But you said something else, though. You said, but you used expletives.
No, I was actually pretty dignified
Okay.
about it. Because number one, I don't want to insult the guy because, let's face it, he's built $1 billion brand.
Sure.
But you can always teach an old dog new tricks. And one of the ways, so when I introduced myself as a management consultant, a lot of my upbringing in communications is built through working with management consultants. And I've always taken an approach to communications and PR through the lens of management consulting, looking at their operations, looking at their finances, looking at an organization like a balance sheet that has assets, liabilities, and equity that are both tangible and intangible in nature. And when I looked at Smith Brothers, they had some really strong intangible assets. Number one, they had a great brand, a historical brand, as we said, heritage sells. They also had a real huge source of innovation and IP that had never really been fully leveraged. Going to a factory and looking at a food chemist is like a science lab.
Right. Yeah.
But it's the fun there of what they're trying to create and what they're trying to do to really distinguish themselves. But the third thing that they had going for them, which was a little bit of serendipity and luck, is that they were launching right around the time when the Blackhawks here in Chicago were really good in the playoffs. Hockey team, thank you. And I'm a huge fan of pop culture. It just so happened that when the Smith Brothers were launching, it was at the time when you go on the box, you see two bearded brothers. It was at the time when lumber sexuality was becoming a thing.
Okay.
Like wearing grunge, having beards.
Mm.
And you started to see beards show up in all the weirdest places. Even something like Movember that was just becoming mainstream in the 2000s.
I am in a comedy rap band, and we've performed at multiple Movember parties around the country and in Toronto. So the Movember world is something I'm very involved in.
Do you have a rap name?
The Flavor Savers is the band. My rap name is Romeo Dance Cheetah.
So not what I was expecting.
No, very different, yeah. Okay. But back to you, that was just a distraction.
So I went to the CEO and laid out a roadmap. I want to use your innovation, your IP, bringing a new level of acceptance to an area of a drugstore or a grocery store that has seen no innovation whatsoever, and bring a personality to it. So here's an example. When you look at Ricola, very popular cough drop brand,
Right.
can you imagine someone wearing lederhosen, blowing a horn, Ricola?
Can I imagine that?
Yeah,
Yes.
but you don't know the person.
No.
When you think of Hall's cough drops, Hall's mentholyptus, what does that mean?
Just means like a flavor, I guess.
But there's no personality to it.
No, there's not.
So as we look through all of these different brands in the cough and cold aisle, they lacked personality.
Mm.
They lacked difference. But more importantly, there was nothing that connected the dots between their brand and the imagery and really the deliverable that consumers wanted beyond just, we just want to feel better.
Okay.
So the roadmap started out by saying, let's start the conversation around heritage, a brand from 1789 that's now going through a new future wave of all new sources of innovation. For example, a cough drop that had a little bit of caffeine in the morning so it would give you a little bit of pep when you were not feeling good with a cold. A cough drop that actually had warm cinnamon beads in it, that when it went down your throat, it actually warmed your throat instead of it being like menthol.
Right.
A cough drop that had chamomile in it that you take at night.
Okay.
And then maybe thinking about other products that could complement that and thinking about different delivery vehicles. These were all things that were inside of their lab that never went outward. And I said, that's where you're starting. When you do that, you'll get the attention of drugstores. It'll give your sales reps and your field force and your contract reps ammunition to say, this is why you need us in your store. And the more and more that you bring to those contract reps and those sales reps, people will ask for that. And they'll ask for certain products. It'll create demand. The packaging needed to be different. The branding needed to be different. So we went with that first, the heritage and the IP, and using those assets as what started the conversation about Smith Brothers.
Okay.
That worked out so well that it actually helped get them into Walgreens. So when a contract rep went into a drugstore, they would put together their sales book and their prep book. We would show them media clips. So when you see the Chicago Tribune, when you see Progressive Grocer, you see Drugstore News and Chain Store Age that are covering this brand. Why this brand? It generates excitement. So once we got into Walgreens, we thought, let's try to have some fun with it. So I was talking about the Chicago Blackhawks. And the CEO and I were sitting down one day and said, wouldn't it be cool if we compared the bearded brothers of the Smith brothers with the Chicago Blackhawks playoff beards, which for those who, when you're in playoff hockey, players grow beards.
Yep.
And they don't shave them off until they lose or they win. So I said, why don't we do something really fun? Corey Crawford, the goaltender back then of the Chicago Blackhawks, was voted as having the best beard.
Fantastic beard.
Fantastic goaltender too.
Sure. Well, yeah.
I said, wouldn't it be cool if we did a meet and greet inside of a Walgreens? And we had the Smith brothers meet Corey Crawford, obviously beardless because he shaved. But we did that as a rallying cry for not only showing the bearded brothers off to the retail community, but almost as a rallying moment that we want the playoffs to start early again. The season was just starting. We want to see the beards come back. So I created this whole initiative called Bring Back the Beards.
Okay.
And it was literally a retail initiative as well as a marketing and an earned media initiative. It's almost like this double standard of, it was bringing back the beards of the bearded brothers to retail that has been around so long, and then bringing back the bearded brothers from hockey.
For the playoffs, right? Because everybody wants to bring the beards back, because if you have a beard, you get the playoffs.
And we used that kind of pop culture reference. Again, not mentioning one thing about the product being really good and actually working on you, but that's how we started conversations. So for me, it's like a great lesson. You don't always have to do communications based on what someone does for a living. Sometimes you can find these really obtuse angles.
Right.
And create a platform. And then once you establish that platform, then you can do all the other stuff that people are used to.
Because you've earned that conversation, you've earned the right to then talk about your stuff.
And we've earned the trust. Yeah. The consumer saw it, the media saw it. They saw that what we delivered to them was a real bona fide, this is really cool, I can get behind it. So imagine this Bring Back the Beards campaign. For those who are in Chicago, back at State and Randolph was the original Walgreens flagship store when they created a really new concept for what Walgreens looked like. So we staged it there. And imagine 1,000 people lining up around the block in downtown Chicago, wanting to meet Corey Crawford because of the buzz of the Blackhawks, but also going in to sample product, we held up these, what I call Smith on a stick, which is a beard on a stick that people could then smile and post their pictures on social media for.
Sure.
It was back then the only thing that we had was Facebook and Twitter that really mattered. Instagram was like a second passing.
Right.
But people would post their Smith on a stick beards on social media. Again, it did the selling for us without any form of paid media to really worry about. Walgreens came to us and said, not only was this an immensely successful endeavor, we sold out about 25% of the entire store. And Walgreens said this was the most successful integration we've ever done. Can we bring this to other cities? And so we replicated that model with the New York Rangers, with Dwayne Reed, with Boston, the Bruins in Dwayne Reed. And when we got into Target, we went to the Minnesota Wild with just the same platform. And it was just this wonderful way that we engaged trust with a consumer with a brand that had nothing to do with mentholyptus and with lederhosen or with any other thing that was cough and cold, but it made people feel good. And by the way, it was working. And so that same CEO I managed earlier, he mentioned and said, your stupid little idea got me into 42,000 stores across the US and Canada. That to me, at the end of the day, is how PR and communications works. Is that if I don't do something that's gonna help your cash registers ring and your phones ring, I failed.
So I want to unpack this a little bit further, but the story is tremendous. It's so cool to see that work on all cylinders or fire on all cylinders. I do think there's an opportunity for us to do a little taste test of our own, some market research of our own. Cough drops, at least Smith & Brothers. But how well do you know cough drops is the test. And you and I are going to do a little,
Bring it.
Have a little moment here.
Let's go.
We got to see if we can guess the cough drop.
I'm all ears. Let's try it. Give it a whirl.
Which was the first one we should try?
I'm going with the brown one.
Okay, let's do it. All right. This is our version of like Hot Ones, but it's cough drop.
But it is pretty mild. I'm actually trying to think of a brand this could be. I'm gonna go strike one. I don't know that one.
It's Mucinex.
Let's try this next one.
This is like a Vicks cough drop with the extreme menthol.
What we got?
Well, it's not an extreme menthol, but it is a Vicks.
Ding ding.
An elderberry flavored Vicks.
This one is gonna taste like candy, I bet. It's gonna taste like Starburst.
I'm going with Luden's or Pine Brothers, one of the two.
And the answer is?
It's actually a store brand from Walgreens, and it's Wild Cherry.
Wild Cherry. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Thank you.
Michael,
One for three.
1 for 3, better than me. I wouldn't have even been able to name one of them unless it was Smith Brothers. Going back though to what did that do to the valuation of the company or the brand? Like, how did you measure success? Obviously it was successful, but like, what did you guys look at as a mark of success?
I looked at the incoming calls that were coming into the company. I was looking at the number of reps that were going out to market that the CEO was saying was working, other stores, other independents, other chains that were coming to them. It was also, I was measuring success by the media that was actually coming to me and my team and said, we'd like to have the Smith Brothers on with X. So the Food Network called us. They had a show called Food Factory. I had the New York Times call me when we did an ad campaign, because it was like the first time we were running an ad campaign because the brand was doing so well.
Right.
It was when, for those who follow baseball, the Boston Red Sox and New York Yankees were playing towards fall baseball, towards the playoffs. And two players from the Boston Red Sox started growing beards, and one of the announcers, a guy named Tim McCarver, said, those two guys look like the Smith Brothers. I wonder whatever happened to that brand. And I was like, ding, ding.
Holy cow.
I was like, thanks, Tim.
Yes.
I get a call from my boss on the weekend when I'm coming home from a flight with my family. And he says, you got to get on this. It's like, this is gold. And I said, let's have some more fun. Because this Boston Red Sox team was growing beards, I said, what if we went to Boston and we tried to rename the team Beardston? So I went to the Boston City Council and tried to get a proclamation written about renaming the city Beardston if they won the World Series. And oh, by the way, we were going to make a donation to the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute as part of our commitment to the city.
Yeah.
Then imagine, as I said, my mind was going everywhere with those beards.
This beard's out of control, man.
We went and said, like, what can we do to bring the beards back inside of the United Center and other hockey arenas?
Yeah.
You know how they have kiss cams at those different arenas?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, I created a beard cam with the Blackhawks where I would have people have their beards superimposed.
Yeah.
And we became the unofficial cough drop of the United Center.
Holy cow, that's awesome.
But it was just fun promotions and
Yeah.
fun ways to get the brand activated and discussed. That to me is where like the fun side of PR and communications
Right.
comes in. Is dare to be adventuresome, push a little bit of limit. Sometimes you could be a little cheeky, but tap into something that's relevant for people. We talk about all these technology tools like AI and computers and all these different platforms. But what we're doing right now is the earliest form of social media. It's called talking. You're forming an opinion of me. I'm forming an opinion of you. People are listening to it out there. If they like it, they're going to share it. They're going to listen to it. And hopefully it generates a response for you and for me.
Sure.
Does that have anything to do with technology? This is the only technology that matters.
Yeah.
And so I think when marketers embrace this idea that humanity has just as much power as technology, you can do some really special stuff.
Yeah, totally. And yeah, I think it puts it in perspective because when we talk about that, I guess the question to you is what you guys did to create that moment and bring the beards back. Is that something you think could still work today?
Absolutely.
And the fundamentals are the same. Maybe some of the tactics are different. So I love this story. I love this example. There's some fundamentals there. They're always going to be there. I got one more question to ask you. I ask everybody this question. What is a word or a phrase we should no longer use in the workplace?
Robust.
Robust. You knew it before I was even finished.
Robust is for coffee. It's not for technology. I've just never understood the word robust. I think we could have a separate podcast about just jargon that just needs to go away.
Yeah.
I'm sure we could come up with our own little dictionary.
It would be a robust dictionary of jargon.
Nice. There's got to be a better word for someone's technology stack, or there's got to be a different way of describing a solution than robust.
Right. Let's stop saying robust when we're talking about technology. Let's keep it to the coffee. Thank you for humoring us with our little taste test. That was a lot of fun.
That was very fun. Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
You're welcome. Thank you. This has been fun.
El Fango.